Hello everyone, this is lecture 9 and this lecture is about yogurt production. So yogurt is one of the most famous fermented food and it is produced by bacterial fermentation of milk. And the common microbes that are used for fermentation of milk are Lactobacillus vulgaris, Streptococcus thermophilus. These two are bacteria. Sometimes lactose fermenting yeast can also be used. So milk contain lactose and fermentation of lactose produces lactic acid, and this lactic acid acts on the milk proteins, giving yogurt its texture and characteristics. So why yogurt is regarded as a top health food? Because it's have various health benefits, such as it's easier to digest than milk. If some people have difficulty, I mean, there are many people actually who have difficulty in digesting milk. For them, they can digest yogurt more easily than the milk. Okay, and it contributes to colon health, increases the absorption of other nutrients such as calcium, boosts immunity, aids in healing process after infections in the intestines, decreases yeast infections. It is a rich source of calcium, a good source of protein. It lowers the cholesterol, and it is a grow food. Mean it helps children to grow. Okay, so we can see that there are lots of benefits of yogurt. So that's why it is considered as a top health food. This table show the nutritional values of different ingredients that are present in the milk. Okay, so from this table you can see that it contains many vitamins. Okay, which are good for, I mean, which are required for our better health. Okay. Anyway, so if we want to produce yogurt, what are the raw materials or ingredients that we need to use? So, I mean, it's a common sense that the most common ingredient in yogurt will definitely be the milk. Okay, and for different types of yogurt production, different types of milk are used, such as for full fat yogurt, whole milk; for low fat yogurt, low fat milk; for non fat yogurt, condensed skimmed milk are used. Sometimes non-fat dry are used, and non-fat dry milk are also used, especially in the industrial purpose. So non-fat dry milk is quite famous. Okay, so apart from the milk, it other ingredients are also used for yogurt production, such as sweeteners, flavors, and fruit preparations, coloring agents, stabilizer, and finally, uh, one most important thing, microbes, which we call culture. Okay, so definitely we need microbes. Without microbes, we cannot ferment yogurt from the milk. Okay, so now let's try to get some idea about these ingredients first. Okay, so we already got some idea about the milk. Now about the other ingredients. First, sweeteners. Okay, uh, sucrose is the major sweeteners for yogurt production, and it can be added in dry, granulated, crystalline form, or as a liquid sugar containing 67% sucrose. Corn sweeteners are also used. Honey can also be used. Then stabilizer. Okay, so a stabilizer serves several purposes in yogurt production. So what are those purposes of a stabilizer? To produce smooth yogurt. Okay, so that means the stabilizer, it produces smoothness, imparts gel structure, reduce weighing off from the milk, increase half life of the yogurt, and provide uniformity of the product. Okay, so now the stabilizers that are used for yogurt production, it should have some characteristics features, such as it should not impart any flavor, should be effective at low pH, because yogurt production fermentation is done at low pH, should be easily dispersed in the normal temperature in a dairy, plant. Okay? And these are some example of a stabilizer: gelatin, pectin, vegetable gum, seaweed gum, etc. Okay. Okay, so we got some basic idea about the ingredients. Now the steps in yogurt preparation. So this slide, it shows the steps. So these are all the steps involved in yogurt preparation, like adjust milk composition, pasteurize milk, homogenize, then cooling the milk, and inoculate with starter culture. Okay, at this step we add the microbes. Okay, then you have to hold, then again you have to cool down, then we'll add additional things if we want, such if we want to add any flavor or fruits, and finally packaging. Okay, so it shows the just the name of the steps involved in yogurt production. Okay, so now let's get some idea about this step briefly. Okay, so first, adjust milk composition. So it is important to achieve desired fats and solid content. Okay, and ingredients such as stabilizers are also added at this time. Okay, so actually in this slide we saw that different milks are used to produce different types of yogurt, like whether it will contain high fat or low fat or non-fat. So during adjustment of milk composition, basically these things are set. Okay, the fat value, etc. Okay, then uh, after milk is adjusted, then pasteurization of the milk is done. It is usually done at 85 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes or 95 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. It is usually done. Okay, so different traditional yogurt processing plant, they may use slight different temperatures and time. Okay, no. Uh, a high heat treatment is used to denature the whey proteins of the milk, and high heat treatment reduces the number of spoilage organisms in the milk and provide a better environment for the starter cultures to grow. Okay, pasteurization of milk is important before we start the fermentation of fermentation. Okay, then homogenize. So in this step, the blending is done, and the blend is homogenized to mix all ingredients and improve yogurt consistency. Okay, then we have to cool down the milk. So after homogenization, the cooling of the milk is done to 42 degrees Celsius, and this cooling is required to provide ideal growth temperature for the starter culture. Okay, then we have to add the starter culture with it. Okay, and what the starter culture, that is the microbes, do, they convert the lactose of the milk into lactic acid, and this lactic acid acts on the proteins of milk to make it yogurt. Okay, and provide the uh, desired texture and flavor. Now starter culture is one of the most important thing in yogurt production, because this is the thing which do the fermentation. So the starter culture that we'll use, it should have some desired characteristics, such as it should grow vigorously in the yogurt mix. It should produce good flavor, good body texture, and it should be reasonably resistant to fuzz and antibiotics, and equal number of bacteria L. bulgaricus or and S. Salmonellus are desirable. Equal number here means, like, I mean, we will not do the fermentation only one time, right? So in every batch, the starter culture, in a starter culture, amount of the microbes should be equal. Otherwise, there will be a different taste in the yogurt product in the yogurt, right? I mean, what I wanted to say, if we want to have uh, yogurt with same quality in every batch, then the starter culture should contain same number of microbes in every batch. Okay, and using the starter culture, the incubation period are 5 hours at 45 degree, 11 hours at 32 degrees Celsius, then 14 to 16 hours at 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. Well, please keep one thing in mind. This is a usual condition, but it doesn't mean that every yogurt production plant they use the same condition. Okay, so again, different yogurt production industry, or especially the traditional one, they usually use different conditions. Okay, their conditions varies. Okay, so starter culture, then after this step, I mean, after you start at the starter culture, and then the next step come, which is holding stage. Okay, so after you add the starter culture, the milk is hold at 42 degrees Celsius until its pH reaches 4.5, and this, because this this temperature 42 degrees Celsius is suitable for the starter culture. Okay, and this process, I mean the holding process, can take several hours. Then we have to cool it down, so that the yogurt is after the fermentation is done, the yogurt is cooled to 7 degrees Celsius, and this cooling is necessary to stop the fermentation process. So if you don't cool it down, then the fermentation will keep going and it will change the final quality of the yogurt. Okay, and after it is cooled down, then if we want to add any additional things like fruits or flavors, uh, those are added with that cooled yogurt, and then go for packaging. Okay, well, I mean, in every yogurts people don't add fruits, right? So especially the yogurts we find in Bangladesh, in the in the markets, those, I mean, actually they don't contain any fruit. Okay, and I think, I mean, yogurts with fruits is not also so famous among the consumers of Bangladeshi people, but in many countries you will find different kinds of yogurts which may contain different kinds of fruits. Okay, so this slide, it shows it talks about some of example of uh, fruit added yogurt. Okay, so if you just read it out, you will easily understand it. So I'm skipping this slide, and then packaging. Okay, so packaging is the final step in industrial preparation of yogurt. So yogurt is pumped into the desired packaging material from the fermentation vat, and the packaging material is sealed. Okay, I mean, in the industry, actually, like, usually these steps, most of these steps are done fully automatically or semi automatically. Okay, so that's all for this part. In the next part, we'll learn about more about the starter culture.